When the sound of shattering glass pierced the stillness at 3:15 a.m., Tanisha Williams knew the nightmare from 5 years ago had returned. But what she didn't realize was that the man climbing through her 9-year-old son's second-floor bedroom window wasn't the only one hunting her child. Tanisha jolted awake, her heart hammering against her ribcage. That sound, the violent crash of breaking glass, came from Malik's bedroom upstairs. A wave of terror washed over her as she recognized what that sound meant. Not an accident, not a strong wind. Someone was breaking into her home, the small house in the Riverside neighborhood of Atlanta, Georgia, where Tanisha had tried to build a new life for herself and her son, suddenly felt like a trap. Outside, the other houses remained peacefully asleep in the sweltering August night. But inside 1247 Peachtree Street, a life-or-death battle was about to unfold. Tanisha, 34 years old, a nurse at Grady Memorial Hospital, had spent the past 5 years creating a safe life for her son. She worked night shifts, saved every penny, and remained constantly vigilant for any shadows from her past. But tonight, the past had found its way to her doorstep. She lay motionless for a moment, hoping she was just dreaming. But the heavy footsteps from upstairs confirmed her worst fears. Someone was in her son's room. In 2014, when Tanisha first met Cameron Brooks at the Sanctuary Bar in downtown Atlanta, she had no idea that this charming man already had 3 restraining orders from other women, and one of them, Patricia Coleman, had disappeared mysteriously just weeks after dropping her domestic violence charges against him. Cameron Brooks was 29 at the time, standing 6'1", with smooth dark skin, rippling muscles, and intricate tattoos covering both arms. His eyes could be both gentle and cold, depending on his mood. He worked at an AutoZone garage in East Atlanta, but his main income came from selling drugs to college students in the area. Tanisha was 29 then, recently divorced from her white husband, a failed marriage due to racial prejudice from his family. She was raising 4-year-old Malik alone, working double shifts to make ends meet. When Cameron appeared, he seemed like a ray of light in her dark world. The first 6 months felt like a fairy tale. Cameron brought Tanisha flowers every week, took her to fancy restaurants, and most importantly, seemed to love Malik like his own son. The boy called him Uncle Cam and was always excited when Cameron came to visit. But after Cameron moved in, everything began to change. Irrational jealousy, criticism about how Tanisha dressed, how she talked to male colleagues. Then came the first slaps, the punches, and finally the death threats. The most terrifying night occurred in December 2014. Cameron came home drunk after losing at gambling, furious that Tanisha had dared to ask about missing money from their savings account. He beat her so badly she had to be hospitalized with broken ribs and a black eye. At the hospital, the attending physician, a white man named Dr. Richardson, gently asked Tanisha about her injuries, but Cameron, who had followed her to the hospital, said bluntly, "This is black family business, white man. Don't stick your nose where it doesn't belong. My woman just fell." Dr. Richardson looked at Tanisha with understanding eyes, but couldn't do anything when she refused to tell the truth. Fear had silenced her, and Cameron knew it. Tanisha had secretly planned her escape for 6 months, but when she discovered Cameron teaching Malik how to hide bruises by saying "you fell down," she knew they had only one night left to escape this hell. In March 2015, the final opportunity came when Cameron had to travel to Birmingham, Alabama for 3 days to handle some business matters, which Tanisha understood meant drug dealing. She had prepared everything in silence, withdrew savings, gathered identification papers, and most importantly, convinced Malik they were going on a vacation to visit Aunt Denise in Richmond, Virginia. The night before executing her plan, Tanisha lay in bed watching her son sleep. The 5-year-old looked so innocent, unaware that his life was about to change completely. On his left arm was a small bruise, a gift from when Cameron had accidentally gripped too hard when angry. The next morning at 6 a.m., Tanisha and Malik left Atlanta with just 2 suitcases and $3,000 in cash. They boarded the first Greyhound bus to Richmond, Tanisha's heart pounding throughout the 8-hour journey. Richmond, Virginia, where her sister Denise lived, became their temporary refuge. Denise, 31, worked at a local bank and had a small apartment near VCU. She knew about her sister's situation and was ready to help, though worried about her own safety. The first months in Richmond were far from easy. Tanisha had to change her name to Tanya Wilson, obtain new identification, and find work under a false identity. She worked at a small clinic in the East End, a poor area mostly populated by Black and Hispanic residents, where few people asked about the past. Malik had to adapt to the new name Marcus and a new school. The boy frequently asked about Uncle Cam and when they would go home. Each question felt like a knife to Tanisha's heart, but she knew the truth about Cameron would be even more painful. But in June 2015, the nightmare returned. Cameron had found Denise's address. He appeared at the house at midnight, drunk and enraged, pounding on the door and shouting, "I know they're in there! Give me back my wife and son!" Fortunately, Tanisha and Malik had already moved to Atlanta, a decision she hoped would help them disappear into the crowd of the big city. But Cameron finding Denise proved he would never give up. For 4 years, Tanisha thought she was safe in Atlanta. She even began dating Derek Thompson, a gentle elementary school teacher. But she didn't know that Cameron had hired private investigator Jerome "Tank" Williams, a former cop fired for misconduct, to track her throughout that entire time. From 2015 to 2019, Tanisha and Malik built their new life in Atlanta. They returned to their hometown, hoping that hiding in a large city would be safer. Tanisha got a job at Grady Memorial Hospital under her real name, since she needed official credentials to work as a nurse. Malik, now back to his real name, attended Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary School, a school with 90% Black students in the Riverside neighborhood. The boy was smart, active, and gradually forgot the painful memories of Uncle Cam. Tanisha rented a small house on Peachtree Street, in a diverse neighborhood that was predominantly Black with some Mexican families. She actively participated in community activities, from parent-teacher associations to volunteer groups at the local Baptist church. Derek Thompson, 36, was a Black teacher who taught 3rd grade at the same school as Malik. He was tall and lanky, wore glasses, with a gentle voice and warm smile. Derek was divorced and had an 8-year-old daughter who lived with her mother across town. He and Tanisha began dating after knowing each other for a year, and Malik really liked Mr. Derek. Life seemed to have stabilized. Tanisha had a steady job with good pay, Malik excelled in school and had many friends, and she had a healthy relationship with Derek. But beneath that peaceful surface, she always lived in fear that someday the past would come calling. In July 2019, that fear began to become reality. While shopping at Kroger, Tanisha caught sight of a familiar car in the parking lot, a black Dodge Charger with white stripes, exactly like the one Cameron used to drive. She stood frozen in the aisle, her heart pounding like a drum, but when she looked more carefully, the car had vanished. "Maybe I'm just being paranoid," she told herself, but the feeling of unease had begun to eat away at her peace of mind. Over the following weeks, strange signs began to appear. Garbage cans rifled through, though nothing was taken. Car windows scratched with thin lines, as if someone had tried to pick the locks. And Malik began mentioning the strange man he often saw standing at the street corner when walking home from school. "Mom, he's always there," Malik told her one afternoon. "He doesn't do anything, just stands there and watches." Tanisha felt a cold chill run down her spine. She knew this wasn't coincidence. When Tanisha found secretly hidden photographs of her son carefully concealed in Malik's backpack, she realized the predator was closer than she thought. But the most terrifying thing was that in those photos, more than one man was stalking the boy. In early August 2019, the danger signs became more obvious. Tanisha discovered that the back door lock had been tampered with, leaving metallic scratch marks. She found unfamiliar cigarette butts in the backyard, a brand she recognized as the type Cameron used to smoke. But the most frightening discovery came one afternoon when she was checking Malik's backpack. Hidden in a small compartment, she found 3 photographs. Candid shots of Malik playing at the school playground, walking home, and playing in their yard. But looking closer, Tanisha noticed a detail that made her blood run cold. In each photo, she could see shadows of at least 2 different men taking pictures or watching Malik. One had a tall, familiar silhouette, possibly Cameron, but the other was shorter, heavier, and completely unknown. Tanisha immediately called the police. Officer Rodriguez, a Mexican-American cop with 10 years of experience, came to take the report, but without concrete evidence of direct threat, he could only promise increased patrols in the area. "I understand your concern," Officer Rodriguez said, his eyes showing empathy, "but we need clearer evidence of a threat. These photos could have been taken by anyone." Tanisha also contacted Derek, told him about the situation, and asked him to help pick up Malik from school. Derek, though worried, agreed to help, and even suggested moving in together for protection. On August 10th, 2019, when Tanisha returned home after a night shift at the hospital, she discovered the back door had been forced open. Nothing was missing from the house, but there were clear signs someone had been inside. On Malik's bed, she found a handwritten note in black ink. "You and the boy can't hide forever. The kid belongs with his father. CB. Cameron Brooks." He had found them. But when Tanisha called police this time, she reported another detail that made the situation more serious. On the kitchen table, she found an old cell phone that didn't belong in the house. When she opened it, she saw a text message. "Plan A failed. Prepare Plan B. $10,000 as agreed. RM." RM. Who was RM? And what was Plan A? Tanisha felt like she was being drawn into a complex web she couldn't fully understand. At 3:15 a.m. on August 15th, when Tanisha heard glass breaking from Malik's room, she ran upstairs to see a dark figure climbing through the window. But when she turned on the light, it wasn't Cameron as she expected. It was a completely unknown man with a scarred face and wild eyes. Tanisha bolted from bed when she heard the commotion upstairs. She quickly grabbed the aluminum baseball bat Derek had left behind and crept up the stairs. Her heart felt like it would burst from her chest as she heard whispers from her son's room. Malik's door was slightly ajar. Through the crack, she saw a dark figure leaning over the bed where her son was sleeping. The man was about 5'7", heavy-set, with black hair and tattoos on his neck. This wasn't Cameron. "Hey, kid." The stranger's voice was rough with a Mexican accent. "Don't be scared. I just want you to come play with me." Malik woke up and immediately began crying when he saw the stranger. "Mommy! Mommy!" the boy screamed. Tanisha couldn't wait any longer. She pushed the door open hard and rushed into the room, gripping the baseball bat tightly. "Get away from my son!" The man turned around, looking surprised but not afraid. On his dark face was a long scar running from his left ear to his chin, and his eyes had the look of someone familiar with violence. "Who are you?" he asked in heavily accented English. "I just want to take the boy back to his father." "I'm his mother!" Tanisha screamed and swung the bat at him. "Get out of my house now!" The struggle took place in the cramped bedroom space. The man, whom she later learned was Rico Martinez, tried to avoid Tanisha's swings while attempting to grab Malik. The boy screamed and curled up under the corner of the bed. Tanisha struck Rico's shoulder, making him stagger, but he quickly regained his balance and grabbed the bat, yanking it from her hands. For a moment, she thought it was all over. But Rico didn't attack her. Instead, he looked out the window and heard police sirens in the distance. Tanisha had managed to press the emergency button on her phone before rushing upstairs. "Damn!" Rico muttered and jumped through the window, disappearing into the night. Police arrived within 5 minutes. Captain Mike Thompson, no relation to Derek, and 2 other officers examined the scene. They found fingerprints on the window frame and a piece of fabric torn from Rico's shirt when he climbed through the window. "Do you know this man?" Captain Thompson asked. He was a 45-year-old white man with 20 years of experience in the Atlanta police force. "No," Tanisha answered, "but he mentioned taking my son back to his father. I think it's related to Cameron Brooks, the man I've been reporting." Captain Thompson took careful notes. "We'll investigate. Tonight you and your son should stay with relatives. It's not safe to remain here." Tanisha called Derek, and he came immediately to take them to his house. Malik remained shaken and clung to his mother all night. When Detective Sarah Mitchell interviewed Rico Martinez after he was captured 12 hours later, he admitted something that shocked her. "I'm not the first person who wanted to kidnap the kid. Someone else paid me to do this, and he said someone else had failed before." Detective Sarah Mitchell, 42, was a white woman with 15 years of experience in the Atlanta police force. She had short brown hair, sharp blue eyes, and was known as one of the best detectives in investigating organized crime. When she received this case, she initially thought it was just a routine break-in, But when Rico Martinez was caught at a motel 15 miles away, just 12 hours after the incident, everything became much more complex. Rico Martinez, 31, Mexican-American, had priors for theft, assault, and child abuse. He had no fixed address and lived off illegal activities. When caught, he was trying to leave Georgia in a stolen car. "I don't know that kid," Rico said in the interrogation room. "Some guy hired me. He paid me $2,000 to grab the kid and bring him to a location." Detective Mitchell leaned forward. "What location?" "A warehouse in East Atlanta. He said he'd pay another $8,000 when I completed the job." "What did this man look like?" Rico described a black man, tall with tattoos. But what caught Detective Mitchell's attention was the next detail. "He told me someone else had failed before, some white guy named Bobby. He said Bobby tried to approach the kid at school, but got caught by a teacher." Detective Mitchell felt a chill run down her spine. There was a network behind this, not just one person trying to randomly kidnap. "Did he give you his real name?" "No, just called himself C. But he had a nice car, black Dodge Charger, and he had a scar on his right arm from wrist to elbow." Detective Mitchell immediately thought of Tanisha's report about Cameron Brooks. But when she checked records, she discovered something strange. The phone number Rico provided, the one C had contacted him with, was registered under the name Patricia Coleman. Patricia Coleman had died in a car accident in 2017. Initially, there was some tension between Detective Mitchell and Tanisha when they met. Tanisha, having had many negative experiences with the justice system, worried that a white detective wouldn't understand the situation of a black single mother living in a poor neighborhood. "Are you sure you'll help me?" Tanisha asked directly when they met at the police station. "I've reported before, and nobody cared." Detective Mitchell looked straight into Tanisha's eyes. "Mrs. Williams, I have a daughter. If anyone dared threaten my child, I'd do everything to protect her. Skin color doesn't matter when it comes to protecting children." Tanisha felt some warmth in the detective's words. Maybe this time would be different. When Detective Mitchell traced the phone number deeper, she discovered it wasn't just registered under a dead person's name, but Patricia Coleman, that woman, had been Cameron Brooks' former girlfriend and had committed suicide just 2 weeks after dropping domestic violence charges against him. Patricia Coleman's file revealed a terrifying story. She was a 28-year-old nurse working at Piedmont Atlanta Hospital. In 2016, she began dating Cameron after meeting him at a bar. Like with Tanisha, the relationship was initially romantic, but after just 6 months, Patricia had been hospitalized 3 times for various accidents. She finally found the courage to file domestic violence charges against Cameron in August 2017. But 2 weeks later, she suddenly dropped the charges and told police she had misunderstood the situation. 1 week after dropping the charges, Patricia Coleman was found dead in her car at a Stone Mountain parking lot. The cause of death was determined to be carbon monoxide poisoning, and the case was concluded as suicide. But Patricia's friends and family all insisted she showed no signs of depression or suicidal thoughts. Detective Mitchell decided to reopen the investigation into Patricia Coleman's death. She also decided to bring in K-9 units to search for more evidence. Rex, a 4-year-old German Shepherd, specially trained to track missing persons and detect drugs, was assigned to Detective Mitchell. Rex had brown and black fur, intelligent eyes, and superior scenting abilities. The dog had helped solve over 50 cases in the past 3 years. When checking Patricia Coleman's financial records, Detective Mitchell discovered something suspicious. In the 6 months before her death, Patricia had withdrawn large sums from her account and transferred them to various other accounts. One of them matched an account that Rico Martinez had received money from. "Cameron isn't just using dead people's identities," Detective Mitchell told her colleague. "He's using their assets to fund criminal activities." The investigation also revealed that in the past 6 months, there had been at least 3 money transfers from ghost accounts to Rico Martinez and someone named Bobby Williams, possibly the Bobby Rico had mentioned. When K-9 Rex picked up Cameron's scent from an old shirt in Tanisha's house, he led the police team to an unexpected location, an abandoned warehouse in East Atlanta, just 2 miles away, where 5 different vehicles were hiding and a complete operations center for monitoring the Williams family. Detective Mitchell held the old shirt Tanisha had kept. a shirt Cameron had forgotten at her house in 2015. Rex sniffed the scent carefully, his tail wagging slightly, showing the dog had captured the smell. "Find," Detective Mitchell commanded. Rex began leading the way from Tanisha's house. The dog stopped at several points along the route: the street corner where Malik often saw the strange man, the supermarket parking lot where Tanisha had seen the Charger, and finally arrived at an industrial area in East Atlanta. The warehouse was located in the Moreland Industrial District, an area predominantly populated by Black and Hispanic workers at small factories. Many local residents had seen suspicious activity around the warehouse in recent months, but no one dared report to police for fear of retaliation or distrust of the justice system. "We saw cars coming and going at midnight," said Gloria Martinez, 55, who lived nearby. "But who trusts the police here? They only care when white people get hurt." Rex led the police team straight to the back door of the warehouse. When the SWAT team prepared to surround it, they discovered 5 different vehicles hidden inside: Cameron's black Dodge Charger, a white van, an old Honda Civic, a pickup truck, and a black SUV with tinted windows. SWAT team leader James Patterson, a 38-year-old black man with 12 years of experience, led the raid. "There could be multiple people inside," he warned his team. "Be careful." When they broke into the warehouse, the scene inside shocked even veteran police officers. This wasn't just a simple hideout, but a complete operations center. Dozens of photos of Tanisha and Malik taken over the past 8 months were posted on the walls. There were detailed diagrams of their house, Tanisha's daily schedule, work shifts, Malik pickup, drop-off times, information about Derek Thompson, and even a map of Malik's school with entrances and exits marked. On a large table was a detailed kidnapping plan written by hand. Plan A, Rico, nighttime break-in, failed. Plan B, Bobby, approach at school, failed, discovered. Plan C, C executes personally, weekend 17-8, rally point, cabin in North Georgia. Then, Mexico. But the most terrifying thing was a small room at the back of the warehouse. Inside was a small bed, toys, children's clothes, and some personal items that Detective Mitchell realized didn't belong to Malik. When police found Cameron in the warehouse, he wasn't surprised at all. Instead, he smiled coldly and said, "You're too late. Plan C has been executed. I already have the boy." But when they rushed to check, Malik was still safe at school, with Derek supervising. Cameron Brooks was finally caught, but not in a panicked state or trying to run. Instead, he was sitting calmly on a chair in the warehouse, as if waiting for them. When the SWAT team burst in, Cameron even clapped slowly. "Finally," he said with a mocking tone, "I thought you'd never find this place." He wore a black t-shirt, jeans, and boots. The tattoos on his right arm, a dragon and the word power, were still clear as Tanisha had described. But what was most notable were his eyes, cold, calculating, and showing absolutely no signs of remorse. "Cameron Brooks, you're under arrest for conspiracy to kidnap a child," Captain Patterson declared. "Kidnapping?" Cameron laughed dryly. "I just want to get my son back. That's a father's right." In the interrogation room at the police station, Cameron showed clear contempt for Detective Mitchell. "A white woman from a rich neighborhood," he said mockingly. "Do you understand anything about the relationship between a black man and his son?" Detective Mitchell remained calm. "I understand the law, and the law says you have no parental rights." "Whose law?" Cameron laughed coldly. "Laws written by white people to control black people. Tanisha has been brainwashed by your system." Detective Mitchell placed photos from the warehouse on the table. "What about Patricia Coleman? Was she also brainwashed when she filed charges against you?" For the first time, Cameron looked uneasy. "Patricia committed suicide. She couldn't handle the pressure. Or was she killed to keep her quiet?" Cameron was silent for a long moment, then smiled coldly. "Prove it." But then he revealed something that made Detective Mitchell's blood run cold. "Anyway, it doesn't matter anymore. Plan C isn't about kidnapping Malik. Plan C is about eliminating the people standing in my way of getting my son back." "What do you mean?" "Derek Thompson will have an accident this afternoon, and Tanisha, she'll commit suicide from grief over losing her boyfriend. Then who will take care of Malik? Obviously his biological father." Detective Mitchell immediately called police to protect Derek and Tanisha. But when they reached the school, they discovered Derek had disappeared with Malik after school hours. When Detective Mitchell searched the warehouse more thoroughly and examined the vehicles inside, she discovered not only Malik's belongings, but also items belonging to two other children, Ashley Williams, 7, and Miguel Santos, 8, children who had disappeared over the past 3 years and were believed to have run away from home. The deeper search of the warehouse revealed a horrifying truth. In a locked metal cabinet, police found 2 children's backpacks, some old small clothes, and toys carefully preserved in plastic bags. When they checked identities, they discovered these belonged to Ashley Williams and Miguel Santos, 2 children who had gone missing in the Atlanta area over the past 3 years. Ashley, a 7-year-old black girl, disappeared while walking home from school in March 2017. Miguel, an 8-year-old Mexican boy, went missing while playing at a park in August 2018. The FBI was called in to assist the investigation. IPOR Special Agent Maria Rodriguez, a 39-year-old Cuban-American woman specializing in organized crime and human trafficking, led the federal investigation. "This isn't an isolated kidnapping," Special Agent Rodriguez explained. "We're dealing with an organized child trafficking network." Further investigation revealed that Cameron had been working with a cross-state criminal group that specifically targeted single-parent families in Black and Hispanic communities. Families the system often paid less attention to when children went missing. They know that when a child of color goes missing, police don't investigate as thoroughly as when a white child goes missing, Special Agent Rodriguez told Detective Mitchell. It's a painful but true reality. When DNA from items in the warehouse was cross-referenced with the national database, the results shocked everyone. Ashley Williams and Miguel Santos were dead, their bodies found in different states, identified as victims of unexplained accidents. But the most terrifying discovery came when they found a diary in Cameron's personal locker. Inside was a list of 15 other children, including Malik, with detailed information about families, daily schedules, and the market value of each child. Malik Williams, 9 years old, intelligent, healthy, no medical conditions. Estimated price, $50,000. Status, plan in progress. Below that was a note. Mother too protective, needs elimination. Mother's boyfriend also needs elimination. After completion, ship merchandise to Mexico. While Cameron was being interrogated, Plan C was actually being executed by another accomplice. Derek and Malik had no idea that Bobby Williams, the gentle substitute teacher who had just been hired at the school, was the same person who had tried to approach Malik before and was now leading them into a deadly trap. When Detective Mitchell called Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary, she was told that Derek had picked up Malik after school with the new substitute teacher, Bobby Williams. They said they were going for pizza and would be back in a few hours, but there was no one named Bobby Williams on the school's official staff list. "We have a major problem," Detective Mitchell told Special Agent Rodriguez. "Plan C isn't kidnapping from home. It's kidnapping from school with help from someone who infiltrated the system." Rex, the K-9 unit, was brought to the school to pick up the scent. From Malik's classroom, Rex led them to the parking lot where they found the abandoned Honda Civic, the same car they had seen in the warehouse. Inside the car was a piece of paper with an address, Cabin 47, Lake Lanier, North Georgia. Rescue teams and SWAT were immediately dispatched to Lake Lanier, a forested mountain area about 60 miles from Atlanta. Tanisha insisted on going along, despite police advice to stay behind. "That's my son," she told Detective Mitchell. "I won't sit at home while my child is in danger." At the cabin at Lake Lanier, the final confrontation took place. Bobby Williams, real name Robert Bobby Jensen, 34, a pedophile with priors, had locked Derek and Malik in the cabin and was preparing to move them to another location. Derek had been knocked unconscious and tied up, but Malik was still conscious and trying to wake Derek up. When the SWAT team surrounded the cabin, Bobby threatened to harm Malik if they didn't let him go. "I'll kill the kid," Bobby screamed, holding a large knife. "I've got nothing to lose." But what Bobby didn't know was that Rex had found a way into the cabin from behind. The K-9 unit snuck in and attacked Bobby from behind, making him drop the knife and fall to the ground. In that moment, Malik ran toward the door, and Tanisha embraced her son tightly. "Mommy," the boy cried, "I was so scared." Derek was taken to the hospital with a head injury, but was not in life-threatening condition. Bobby Williams was arrested and confessed to all charges. At trial 3 months later, Cameron Brooks was sentenced to life in prison without parole for first-degree murder, Patricia Coleman and 2 children, kidnapping, human trafficking, and conspiracy to commit murder. Bobby Williams and Rico Martinez also received long prison sentences. The investigation led to dismantling the entire child trafficking network, rescuing 12 other children being held in various states, and arresting 8 accomplices. 1 year later, Tanisha and Malik had moved to Asheville in North Carolina with support from the Witness Protection Program. Derek, after fully recovering, also moved there, and they married in the spring. Malik, now 10, had overcome his psychological trauma thanks to support from specialists and the love of his new family. Tanisha now works at Mission Health Hospital in Asheville, where she is loved and respected by colleagues. Malik attends a good elementary school and has become best friends with Rex, the K-9 unit who is now retired and was given to the Williams family by Detective Mitchell as a guardian angel. Detective Sarah Mitchell received numerous commendations for her work on the case and continues working in Atlanta, focusing on cases involving missing children in minority communities. She and Tanisha remain in contact and have become close friends, overcoming all racial barriers. "You saved my son," Tanisha told Sarah during a recent meeting. "But more importantly, you showed me that not everyone sees us through the color of our skin." Sarah replied, "And you taught me that to truly protect people, I need to understand and trust each other, regardless of race." Malik, in an interview with a child psychologist, said, "I learned that good people can have any skin color, and so can bad people. What matters is what they do, not what they look like." The Williams family story reminds us of several important lessons. About domestic violence. Domestic violence doesn't discriminate by race, class, or circumstances. It can happen in any family, and victims need support to break free from the cycle of violence. About racial prejudice. The justice system needs to recognize and address unconscious biases in how cases involving minority communities are handled. Every missing child deserves to be searched for and protected equally. About cooperation. When people can overcome barriers of skin color and class, they can work together to achieve amazing things, as in the case of Detective Mitchell and Tanisha. About protecting children. The community has a responsibility to protect all children, not just those in their own families. When someone sees signs of abuse or danger, they need the courage to speak up and act. About children's resilience. Children have amazing resilience when loved and supported properly. Malik overcame trauma and developed into a healthy, happy boy, thanks to the love and patience of those around him. About the importance of trust. Sometimes strangers can become our best protectors. Detective Mitchell, initially a stranger to Tanisha, became a close friend and the person who saved her family. About the power of love. True love isn't just emotion, but action. Derek accepted risks to protect Malik. Tanisha courageously faced her past to protect her son, and the entire community united to protect innocent children. Epilogue. Silent heroes. 5 years after the case, Tanisha became an active advocate supporting domestic violence victims, especially women of color. She often says in her talks, "If you're in a situation like I was, remember that you're not alone. There are people ready to help, regardless of who you are or where you come from." Derek became principal of the elementary school, where he worked and implemented many programs educating about child safety. He often tells students, "If anyone makes you feel unsafe, tell a teacher. We will protect you." Detective Sarah Mitchell was promoted to head of Special Crimes Investigation and established a specialized unit to investigate missing children cases in minority communities. Under her leadership, the resolution rate for such cases has increased significantly. Malik, now 15, has become an intelligent and confident young man. He excels in school, plays basketball on the school team, and dreams of becoming a veterinarian to care for dogs like Rex. He doesn't remember much about those dark days, but he understands that he was loved and protected by many people. Rex, the retired K-9 unit, still lives with the Williams family and is considered a family member, Every morning, the dog still walks with Malik to school, like a silent guardian. In life, we can't choose the challenges we must face, Tanisha Williams wrote in her memoir published in 2024. But we can choose how we respond to those challenges. We can choose fear or courage, hatred or forgiveness, loneliness or seeking help. The most important thing I learned is, sometimes strangers can become our family, and sometimes those we love most can be our greatest threats. But true love, love expressed through actions, not just words, always wins in the end. And sometimes, a loyal dog can teach us about loyalty and protection more than any human being. On a beautiful sunny afternoon in Asheville, North Carolina, Tanisha stood at the kitchen window watching Malik play basketball in the backyard, with Rex sitting beside him, observing. Derek was grilling for dinner, and the laughter of the whole family echoed throughout the neighborhood. This wasn't the end of a horrific story, but the beginning of a new life. A life built on the foundation of love, trust, and hope. A life where skin color mattered less than heart, and family wasn't defined by blood, but by love and sacrifice. That was the final and most important lesson from this story. Love and compassion have no color. And when we unite together, we can overcome any challenge and protect what's most precious in life.